I want to open again with just a welcome. I'm Bob. I am the lead faculty here with the team coaching certification course. But there is a whole team, and those of you who know anything about the programs here at University at Buffalo, it's never just one person. So I have a whole team of folks that make this possible. Um, I am not the kind of faculty or professor that lectures. I much prefer conversation, and so please let's keep this informal. I'm going to spend just a minute or two hitting some highlights, giving an overview of the program. But feel free to interrupt and ask questions at any point. And then, we'll have open discussion. So I'm not going to take a full half hour of just talking at you. So there'll be plenty of time for questions. With that, though, I will go into professor mode and I will share a few slides just to give you some information. So, again, this is the team coaching certification open house. I've already gone through kind of our agenda, who's in the room, and I'm going to give you some highlights and an overview. It's taking what we have on our website, but expanding on it a little bit, clarifying some things from there, and then we'll open it up to hear from you. So, putting this in context, the University of Buffalo's Center for Leadership and Global Impact is where this program is housed. And so when you go to the website, you'll see we have these other programs available as well. And the team coaching certification sort of sits right here as part of this suite of programs. This is where I also want to say that the team coaching certification is different than our leadership coaching certification course. There is an assumption in the team coaching certification that you have some general knowledge of how to be a coach. So the team coaching doesn't teach you basic coaching skills, but it does take those coaching skills and add on to them and apply them to what it's like to coach groups of people or an intact team. And a lot of what it takes to coach an individual comes into play when coaching teams, but there are some nuances and some differences to take into consideration. And that's what we will focus on in the team coaching certification. So if you're interested in any of our other programs, you can click through on the website and learn about those. But we'll focus on the team coaching piece. So the structure of the program, it's outlined in our website, but let me expand a bit on that. So if you've seen the website, you know this takes place over the course of 4 months. We meet 4 times over 4 months for 90 minutes each time. 12 to 1:30 Eastern time. I happen to be sitting in the Chicago area, so that's 11 to 12:30 my time. It will all be done virtually, so you can do it from any time zone. And these are the dates. It's important to notice that there are 4 to 5 weeks between these dates, and that gives some time for some of the work to be done. So what happens when we meet for these 4 full class sessions? As I said, they're 90 minutes each, they're on Zoom, but this is not 90 minutes of sitting and listening to a lecture. Roughly 45 minutes of content, and that's with me or another content expert, or we may have a guest speaker talking about the content of the day for that lesson, or for that session. And then you will spend time actually in breakout groups, working together in small coaching groups. And I have approximately here 45 minutes and 45 minutes. That may fluctuate a little bit. The main idea here is that we want to maximize that 90 minutes of time and use it not only to convey new information to you, important information and the teaching piece of it, but we want to use part of that time for you to do the work of the small coaching group. We know that you're busy professionals, and so we try to not take any more time than necessary out of the rest of your schedule. So we'll use those 90 minutes for as much as we can in that time block. Now, you will be put into small groups for coaching. Roughly 4 to 5 classmates. This will depend on the number of people who sign up and what our full class winds up looking like. And each of those small groups will work with a faculty coach, so someone who is trained and knows the art of team coaching. So in those small groups, each of those groups gets assigned a client team to actually coach. So this is the practicum piece, the hands-on piece. So each coaching group will coach an actual client team. Okay. And because of that, we can't do it all just within that 90-minute window. So you can expect roughly 2 hours of homework outside of class. Honestly, this is a target. It will depend on the number of people in your coaching group and the team that you're coaching and how you will do that. What will determine that is you'll figure that out as part of the process. You'll go in, you'll assess what the team needs, and then based on that, you will determine the best approach to coaching them, all under the guidance of your faculty coach as well. So for the visual learners, I'm going to take the bullet points and I like to see things in pictures. So here's visually what this looks like. We'll meet as a full class. And again, there will be a faculty or a content expert speaker that will address the full class. The full class is broken out into smaller coaching groups. And again, the number of those groups will depend on the number of teams we have to coach, but also the number in the class. Each coaching group gets affiliated with a client team, and the coaching group coaches the client team. Okay. Each coaching group also has a faculty coach that they work with, and the faculty coach coaches the coaches. Okay. So we're not just throwing you into the deep end and saying, okay, go coach these folks. We're going to give you a guide to help you in the process of applying what you're learning while you're coaching the client team. Okay. So that's the structure. And here is the process that you will go through with your client teams. You start with assessing the current state of the team. We give you a framework to use to determine the opportunities that team has. Then you will decide based on that how much and in what way and what tools you need to then coach them. And then as you go through the process, you're coaching them, you implement those tools, you adapt based on what you learn as you go. And then we'll wrap up and provide some closure and transition. And if you notice, the arrows kind of go both ways, and that's meant to imply that these are not distinct buckets. It's not like the first month we're only assessing. The second month we're choosing interventions. This is an iterative process, but it gives us some structure to work with. And the 4 coaching class sessions will focus roughly around these 4 areas. But it is coaching, as you know, is an art as well. So there's some fluidity to it as we go. Okay. So upon the conclusion of this course, you will have real experience coaching a real team. Very hands-on, very practical. You will also do that with the guidance of an expert. So you'll learn not only from each other and from the team you're coaching, but from the people who've done this. And you'll get a certificate. And no, this is not what your certificate looks like. This is a generic thing I pulled off the web. But we will have a certificate that we will be able to share with you so you can leverage it and say, I'm certified in coaching teams. So with that, I know this is a screen. We will send you these slides. We'll make them available. And the links on here are active. So when you get the slides, you can just click through. More information is on the website, or you can email us and we'll work with you and any questions you have at that point. Okay. So that's my spiel. I'm done talking at you. I've reached the limit of what I like to do from a lecture perspective. And now I'm going to open it up. What thoughts, what questions, observations can we chat through?
So prior to meeting on each session date, would we have like a package with the lessons or pre-reading, things like that, kind of sensitizing us to what to expect on any given day? And the other thing is in terms of the client. So I belong to the Department of Biostatistics, and the teams that report to me has certain needs. They belong to a certain mindset, mathematicians and statisticians. And so the client team, I mean, I don't know the answer, but I imagine that coaching is a function of the type of team you're coaching or the background of the team. And so would the client be matched based on my own personal needs?
So the first part of your question is yes, you will know what to prepare in advance. We'll have a syllabus that we will share, and there'll be a structure. And even though there's some fluidity to what happens when, given where your team is and what you're doing with your team, we will give you a structure that says here's where you should be at any given point throughout those 4 months. So yes, and we'll have that set up for you. Um, the second part is it's going to be somewhat fluid. We have to identify the teams. So we're getting students in the class, but we're also getting teams that volunteer to be coached. So yes, you are correct that each team. I apologize if you can hear my dog barking for some reason. There must be a bird in the backyard or something that's setting them off. Um, and the part of the work of coaching the team is going to be assessing what that team needs, right? And so as a team coach, you will start by getting to know the team. What are their needs? Where are they? Where do they need to be coached? In what way? And then from there, you move into what are the methods and tools you use to then coach that team. Um, so yes, that's correct. I don't know that we will have the luxury of saying, well, here's this kind of team, and we're going to match it with you as a certain kind of coach. Partly because we want you to be able to learn to be flexible in coaching a variety of types of teams. So you'll have to assess that as you go. And that'll be part of the process, and we'll coach you through that. There was another hand, but now I see Tillman's hand up.
Yeah, thank you. Following up on the on the client teams, introduction for other people on the call. I'm Tilman Bobistock. I'm the Associate Vice Provost for Faculty Affairs and a former client on the coaching certificate from the School of Management. So I know many on the team. So the client teams, you said that there's 4 to 5 of us on. Do we coach the client team as a group of 4 or 5?
Yes. So the way this works is you'll have a group of 4 or 5, and together you will work as a team to sort of divide and conquer with the different steps of what it takes to then coach the client team.
Got it.
So it's sort of team coaching a team,
Yeah,
and that may not. I mean, there's a couple reasons for that. One of it is you can do more work together in the time frame that we have. And it's just given your other commitments and things, it's nice to be able to split up the responsibilities to say, you can divide up who gets to interview each member of the team, and who does different follow up assessments that you may want to do. And so you'll work as a team of 4 to 5 to coach the team under the guidance of your faculty coach.
great. And just a very quick follow-up
Yeah.
before I hand it over. Those teams are what kind of teams, just sort of as an example, what might we be able to work
Yeah, what
with?
might you be up against? We don't know. We're still soliciting teams. Um, Maybe Maddie, can you step in and give a couple of examples of the teams that we used with our pilot program over the summer?
Yeah, I would need a refresher on that, but I
Yeah.
talking to some teams that we might have in the future. Some folks are having, difficulties talking amongst like between departments. There's some issue with like siloing that they want to resolve. Some like change management issues, like a big overhaul of like structure change within a company and needing some like team adjustment to that. Those are some of the things that I'm hearing right now. But we would know more at the start of the
So
class.
industry and higher ed.
Yeah,
What
many
was most
yeah, we're soliciting from a number of different organizations, but also looking within higher ed and within UB exactly. So we'll see where we can get those volunteer teams to be coached. But and if you have ideas, and I'll put this out there for all of you too, if you have connections. Anywhere really that has a team that you think could benefit from some free coaching, um, put us in touch. We'll reach out. So, and it's the kinds of things Maddie was mentioning. It can be alignment around goals. Maybe it's getting used to a new structure. Maybe the team is a new team and they just need to learn to understand each other and work together. So lots of different options as far as what that could be. Anthony, I see next, and then Kelly.
Yeah, a couple of points on what you just raised about possibly helping find teams. If you had a one pager that explains
Mm.
that we could easily send out to people and say, if this would be interesting to you, here's the criteria. And you sort of answered from Tillman's question that the teams we would be coaching could come from the university or from industry as you're able to find a level of success. So when you said 2 hours a week, what happens in those 2 hours?
Yeah, so as you work through those stages that I outlined, in the beginning, it's going to be meet with your team, that your client team, and you can divide that so that some of you may have a couple of you on your coaching group that set up a Zoom call with the team. You may do individual interviews. You're going to want to have someone talk with the designated leader of that team to get their perspective. And so a lot of that in between work is done between classes. There'll be some legwork to connect with and talk with the team. Then as you move into what interventions, what tools are you going to use? How are you actually going to coach the team? That coaching will take place between class sessions. Some of it's going to be taking what we talk about in the class session and then going and applying it with your team in between sessions. The 45 minutes are part of the 90-minute session that you use in your groups is more for sort of coming back together as a group to connect the dots. It'll be working with your faculty coach to then plan and decide what's our best next step between now and the next session. How are we going to apply what we learned? That kind of thing. So the actual coaching of the team tends to happen between sessions.
Yeah, and would if I'm hearing correctly, and there's planning for the coaching session in the weeks of the month between each course, would we end up just coaching the outside team once in that month?
That's I don't know that it's that prescribed. Because again, you may be dividing what coaching looks like doesn't necessarily have to be, we gather the team and we coach them for an hour. It may be that you're talking with certain individuals, some from your team may talk to a few and do that. And that may go back and forth a couple times between sessions. So the actual work of coaching is fluid,
Okay.
right? And that's part of what you'll decide as a team as to how to go about doing that and how to use your time throughout those periods between sessions.
Are we going to have the same team throughout the course? We form as a team and we're the same group from day
Yes.
one and the same faculty advisor?
Yes. Yes. It will be an intact small coaching group with the same faculty advisor throughout the course so that you can continue to evolve your coaching and grow it and you don't have to relearn and reconnect with folks. So yes,
And
same team.
finally, what sort of takeaway materials will we end up with?
Great question. We will, and this is where there's a mix of both the skill and the art of coaching from a sort of a capability perspective. We're going to give you a framework for how to think about it. We will give you material on sort of the stages of team development. We will give you a list of potential tools you can use as interventions to actually execute the coaching piece of it. And so those are takeaways from it. Now, the way that you leverage all of those is going to be unique to each team, each coaching engagement. So that's the art piece.
Yeah.
So yes, you'll have tools and frameworks that we'll give to you, and then you'll have some practical hands-on experience with at least one way of applying some of that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Kelly, thanks for being patient.
That's right. My hand has gone up and down repeatedly over the session just because it's evolving with the questions asked and the responses. And I'm actually sitting here wondering now whether I'm on the wrong side of the equation here. So I guess my question is how personalized the teams that are selected can be. And so the context of this, the reason I'm here today is that I launched a new Center for Climate Change and Health Equity at UB last summer, have spent this last year building a new team, faculty recruitment, now at the second stage postdoc recruitment, and am in the throes of team science building. So I was listening in today, thinking about how to pick up some skills to apply in this very specific concept, right? So I'm not looking to be a general team coach for lots of people. It's very targeted. Should there be, for participation in this, should there be separation between my sort of role as a coach and the team that's selected, or can this be personalized? One other sort of tag on to that, or should actually we be volunteering to be one of the teams that others in the group are assisting?
Yeah. So what I would suggest, and Maddie, chime in here too with your perspective on this. I would suggest that you not serve as the coach for your team. But that doesn't mean you couldn't participate in the program. What we would do is, I like the idea of having your team be one of the client teams that gets coached. But we would probably not assign you to that team. And that way you'd be in sort of double roles. You would get coaching experience with a different client team, but you would also be the client because as the leader or head of that team, you're part of the team that's being coached. So you could do both. But I do think it would be better not to have to play both roles, being part of the client and the coach who's coaching the client. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but for the longer term vision though, the idea of like what I would walk away from with this workshop,
Yeah.
I would receive the training on a practice team, but I would be able to bring those skills back in and apply it
Yes.
longitudinally with my current group. Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I believe so. So there's a couple audiences for this. The primary audience, as you have noted, is for people who are in more of a traditional coaching role and they want to be able to coach teams and groups. Now, that may not be everybody. If you are the leader of a team, you will learn certain things about team dynamics and how to be leader as coach with your team. So you don't have to simply take it from the perspective of I'm going to go hang out a shingle as a team coach. Um, you will learn things that you can apply just as the leader of a team as well. Okay. I see Shamshad again. You raise your hand or are you saying goodbye?
No, I'm saying I don't know how to put up my hand in Zoom.
Oh, okay.
Um, so just to touch a little bit on what Kelly said, and I just want to give you a little background about myself and my journey, just so that I can understand if this is a good fit for me. So I
Hmm.
started off in academia, was in government sector, went into the private sector, and that was a deliberate journey to come back into academia after dealing in all those areas, because I feel that there's good to learn from all of those avenues
Hmm.
and bring it back to academia. The
Yes.
challenge I currently face right now is I have my team who reports to me and they'll do whatever I tell them to do.
Hmm.
Well, so that's coaching them and bringing them up to speed on the standards and the rigor and all the things that I learned in the different sectors. I can manage that. But I want that to benefit the wider audience who may not directly report to me. But it's the reason why I'm doing this. I'm running a center, and the reason why I'm doing this is it will expand. That culture will expand to the school, from the department to the school, and like the challenges that one may face in embracing climate research, for example,
Hmm.
we the kind of the ups and downs. Some believe that climate change is important, others don't. You may have less support from the government because of whatever is going on there. But how can you
Hmm.
get not just your team? I think I can manage the team and I can coach them the way I want them, but am I doing it the right way? And is
Hmm.
that going to be impactful enough to the wider audience? Because I see myself coaching not just to get a product from my team, but to get that product out there to benefit others. Like playing a game, you
Yeah.
really want to, you're not coaching the audience, but you really want to uplift the audience or the spectators and make them have a good experience as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
am I wrong there? Is that what the coaching is going to help me?
Well, and this is where, the coaching as a skill is, um, it's not as crisp and clean as maybe with other subjects, and I say that in a what I think is a good way because those of you who have been through our individual coach certification or have experience with coaching individuals know that once you have a mindset of the way to think about coaching, it doesn't just happen in a one-to-one relationship. It's all of your relationships. You will listen in a different way. You will notice things that maybe you hadn't paid attention to before. And then the way in which you respond to people is more fluid and you can adapt in effective ways even outside of the one-to-one coaching connection. So I would say the same is true from a team coaching perspective. Once you learn about teams and have some practice with intervening in teams, you'll be able to see that in teams that are not your direct reports, in groups of people that, and even outside the university. If you're on a church committee or something. You'll notice the dynamics in a different way. And you'll have some tools to know then how to then approach those folks. Part of the assessment process is a stakeholder, like who are the different stakeholders, and it's not just the leader and the direct reports on the team. It's who else has influence over that team, who else is influenced by that team, and the individuals on it. So it can be thought of broader than just that one intact team. Okay. Anything else? We are at our half an hour, but I'm happy to hang on if people have other questions.